Did you know there's different ways to sew the V in a bustier? In this tutorial, I'm going to show you 5 ways on how to sew a V-wire separator in a bustier. Let's get into this. So what is a V-wire? A V-wire comes in different shapes. It's a wire typically encased in fabric. It provides structure to a bra or garment, holding the shape of the V and preventing it from collapsing. They are often found in designs with deep V necklines or cutouts. So for this video, I will be using the straight wire and the curved wire. I will also use this pattern from the draping tutorial I made. If you would like to know how to sew the inside of the bustier, I made a tutorial for it and I will leave the link in the description below. Today we're just going to focus on the V part. So let's start with the straight wire. These are the materials I'll be using for method 1. First, mark your seam allowance line down to where the V stops on both sides. Then put your main fabric and lining wrong sides together and sew on top of those lines. Sew on top, then clip the corners. After that, flip it over and do an understitch on top so the lining doesn't show in front of the garment. This is a regular presser foot and 2 zipper foots. With the presser foot, I'm going to sew 1/4 all the way down. Let's sew. Next, I will put the V-wire inside the casing that I just made. Make sure it's 1/4 down from where the V stops. You don't want it to be right under the stitches of where the V stops. Next, take the other side of the wire and put it inside the casing like this. Then you can put clips on the front to make sure the V-wire is locked in, or you can put pins to lock it in, whichever one you like. I'm going to use the clips. Next, change the regular presser foot to one of the zipper foots. I'm going to use this one. Let's sew. The wire is right here. We're going to sew a stitch in the ditch under the wire about 1/2 inch to 3/4 so that the wire doesn't come out the casing. This is how method 1 looks. When I saw this fabric online, I knew I had to buy it. I fell in love the minute I saw it. Next is method 2. For method 2, we're going to put the main fabric and lining wrong sides and sew it like we did in method 1. Then press the front of the V so that the V looks sharp. After that, turn the fabric like this. This is the seam allowance. We're going to sew 1/4 and stop right where the slit is at. Do this to both sides. So this is the 1/4 stitch right here. Next, turn the main fabric over and put the V-wire inside the casing, not on top like this. We're going to put it in the casing right inside here. We're going to put the V 1/4 down from where the V stops. You do not want to put it all the way up there because if you mess with the stitches, the V stitches might come out. That part of the V is very delicate. Next, get a needle and thread and make a knot. Put the needle through the lining seam allowance. Make sure it doesn't go through the lining. Then put the needle through the V-wire. Then go back in the seam allowance only. Then inside the wire. Start going through the seam allowance and wire like this. As you can see, I'm not sewing through the lining. I'm only sewing through the lining seam allowance. So after you finish sewing it, always check to make sure you did not sew through the lining. The next step is to sew these 2 pieces together. Sew them down up to here, so it's a little bit more secured. This is how method 2 looks. Do you like method 1 or method 2? Next is method 3. For method 3, we're going to put the main fabric and lining wrong sides and sew it like we did in method 1. Before you sew it, make sure you clip this part so that the V can lay flat. After that, sew a understitch on top so the lining doesn't show in front of your design. Do this to all the methods. Next, put a sewing pin 1/4 or 3/8 down from where the V stops. Then sew 1/4 down and stop where you pinned it. Do that to both sides. After that, put your wire inside that casing and sew 1/4 across where your pin is. This will secure the wire from coming out. So this is how method 3 looks. Next is method 4. For this method, I'll be using a underwire bra casing and it looks like this. So now let's say you made a design and it doesn't have a center front line and you're saying to yourself, how do I sew this? Well, let me show you. The first thing we're going to do is put the underwire channel 1/8 away from the V seam allowance. Then we're going to sew it all the way down to here where the V stops, and then sew the other side all the way down a little bit further than the first stitch. The reason why we sew it 1/8 away from the seam allowance is because when you turn the fabric over, there's no bulkiness. Sew your seam allowance, then cut about 1/4 so it's not bulky. After that, flip it over and sew an understitch on top. We're going to put the V-wire in, but first, stretch it out a little. So this underwire has a casing, but we're not going to put it inside. We're going to put it under the white casing like this. Once you put it in, make sure it's 1/4 from the end of the V-stitch. Next, get a needle and a long piece of thread. The first thing we're going to do is go inside the V-wire, not the lining fabric, just through the V-wire. Make a knot and leave a small tail. Then sew it on this side and go back in the V-wire. Then sew it on the other side and go back in the underwire channel. Continue doing this till the V-wire can't move, like this. After that, put the two underwire channels together and sew them like this. If you don't like it loose like this and you want to secure it some more, then you can sew this part to the lining. Always check to make sure you did not sew on the lining. This is how method 4 looks. I used an underwire channel for this method. If you don't have that, there are other options. You can make your own bias tape with woven fabric. You can buy a pre-made bias tape. You can also use a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch ribbon, or you can use cotton twill. The other wire I'm going to show you is a curved V-wire. So here is my original pattern. For the curved V-wire, I will have to change the front of my design. The first thing I would do is put my pattern on paper and mark the center front line all the way up and mark a line across here. It will look like this. Now I don't want the straight V design. I want to use the curved V-wire. So in order to get this design, I would have to trace the wire all the way around from the bottom of the curved V. Once you trace your V, then you can put your seam allowance on top and it will look like this. Next, mark your V-wire all around so that you can put your bias tape 1/8 away from your seam allowance. Don't forget to stretch the wire out a little so it doesn't give you a problem when you're trying to put it inside the pin casing. Also, when you're sewing your bias tape, make sure this side is the closed side and this side is the open side. Use your regular stitch and sew all the way down up to here. From here, you're going to change your stitch to a smaller stitch. Then sew around and stop here. From here, you can change to your regular stitch and continue sewing all the way up. Then sew on top. After that, clip the corners. Then clip inside here. You can cut off the seam allowance about 1/4. Then flip it over and sew an understitch on top. Once you flip it over, use the iron and press on the V part so that the V looks sharp. After that, put the V-wire inside the pin casing about 1/4 down from where the V stops and hand sew it closed. Like we did in method 4. Let's sew. If you want this part to be more secured, then you can sew it to the lining right here. This is how method 5 looks. I put the curved wire and a straight wire side by side so you can see the difference. And you can decide which wire you would like to use when you're designing. I like both of them. Next is stretch fabrics. You have more options to sew a V-wire for stretch fabrics. You can actually just pass the V-wire easily through the fabric. Designing for stretch fabrics is different than woven fabrics. If you want a video in more detail, let me know in the comments. There are so many designs you can create with stretch fabrics, so I just decided to make an easy design and then show you some examples I found. Here's a piece of fabric I draped for the curved V-wire. I sewed it with a small zigzag stitch, and then I put the wire inside like this. This is how it looks. Now let me show you some examples I found. I did not make these designs. It's for educational purposes only. So here we have two dresses. They are both stretch fabrics. For dress number 1, they used the same fabric to make the bias tape and sewed it to the dress. Then they put the V-wire inside. For dress number 2, they folded the seam allowance over and sewed it on top, and it became a casing for the V-wire. These two dresses have no lining. So for these two, the V-wire is inside the lining. This wire is really nice. So I recently ordered both sizes. It should be coming soon. I'm crossing my fingers. When I receive it, I will make a quick video for you. Here's another wire. I like this one too. I might order it soon. These are cute too. I like how they did this part. This dress has lining. For this one, the V-wire is right here. I also like how they designed the cup on top. Now these wires are different. Do you like these? And these are sewn differently. As you can see, both wires are sewn inside a bias tape. If you look closely, both of them sewed bias tape differently. So guys, which method was your favorite? If you enjoyed this video, then please give this video a like so YouTube can show it to more creators who would like to learn how to sew a V-wire. If you're interested in learning how to structure a bustier, then this playlist is for you. Click or tap on the screen right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to practice, practice, practice. Bye everybody.